This time on Parks Rec and Roll, Brookside Gardens, Unearthed. Are you familiar with Brookside Gardens in Wheaton, Maryland? If the answer is no, then keep watching. We're going to give you a guided tour. If the answer is yes, then keep watching, because there's always more to find out about this fascinating place, which is still growing and changing. Approximately 400,000 visitors come each year to this award-winning garden. We'll learn about the grounds, the events and programs, education and outreach, volunteering, and what's in store for the future. Here's the director of Brookside Gardens, Stephanie Oberly, to start us off.
Hi, my name's Stephanie Oberly. I'm the director of Brookside Gardens here in Wheaton, Maryland. We're a facility of Montgomery Parks, which is part of the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. Brookside Gardens is a 54-acre public display garden, which means we have beautifully landscaped displays of both permanent plants that are in the gardens year-round, and seasonal displays, so things like summer annuals or fall chrysanthemums or spring bulbs for people to come and enjoy and visit.
Feet on the ground.
Historically, Brookside Gardens opened to the public in July of 1969. And what's interesting about our history is at that time, Washington, D.C. was starting to grow out into the suburbs like Wheaton and Silver Spring, as after World War II, this large bedroom community started to develop. So planners in Montgomery County Parks realized that the residents of Montgomery County needed places to go enjoy nature. And so they developed this 500-acre Wheaton Regional Park with lots of different amenities like the ice rinks, the ball fields, the tennis courts, the stables, the playground, and a public garden. And we're really lucky that at that time, park staff included landscape architects and horticulturists and architects who were familiar with other public gardens in the Mid-Atlantic area. So they were inspired to create that same kind of public garden in Montgomery County. And what's really neat for me as a horticulturist is that our mission is still the same. Yes, we're a beautiful place, we have incredible gardens, but it's a place for the residents of Montgomery County to come and be inspired, to learn, to relax, to enjoy, and then with our staff helping them through classes or our library, they can learn how to garden at home, and they can take the ideas of what they learned at Brookside Gardens to their homes and create a beautiful landscape at home. So to me, that's really, we haven't changed in the 44 years we've been a public facility. Now, the gardens have changed. We opened in 1969, and we started with the conservatory, which is at the bottom of the hill where we are now, and then this core of formal gardens ending in the wedding gazebo at the top of the hill. That was the original Brookside Gardens. But you know, gardeners are never satisfied stopping. You always want to buy more plants and plant more stuff. So then we very shortly thereafter added the azalea gardens, which is up on the hill over here, the goody gardens with the beautiful ponds and the Japanese style tea house. And our last big development project was the visitor center, which is at the very top of the hill, that opened in 1998. And when the visitor center opened, we were really able to expand our programming to having more classes for children, for adults. The library was much bigger. We have a gift shop, and we started two really big programs for us, the Wings of Fancy Live Butterfly exhibit and the Garden of Lights winter light display. So like many folks who work at or enjoy Brookside Gardens, I have a personal connection to the gardens. I grew up in Wheaton, and my mom was a gardener, and we came here all the time, and as kids ran through the gardens. And I knew from really early on that horticulture was what I wanted to do, and working in a place like Brookside Gardens that combined the science of horticulture with that public outreach was what was important to me. Have you ever seen tadpole eggs? Do you know what they look like?
They're like jelly.
They look like jelly, that's right. And so I've worked at Brookside on and off for almost 25 years, and it's not a unique story. There's lots of people who work at Brookside who have that similar affection and love for Brookside, and this is the place that we want to be.
They're just outrageous in there, aren't they? It's just something. And they come in white and pink. This is, I think the big red ones are the ones that get everybody's attention.
Plant collections manager Phil Normandy has worked at the gardens for more than 30 years. What better person to show us around?
We're here on a spring morning to look at some of Brookside's beautiful garden features. Right now, we're at the beginning of the fragrance garden, and if you could be standing next to me, you could tell it was a fragrance garden because of this incredibly fragrant lilac that we have here. Brookside, unlike your garden center, may have more special or rare variations on a theme. For example, this was a lilac that was collected in the wild in China. This is just part of the fragrance garden, which does feature plants that are either fragrant or edible. Come, let's look at some more. We do aim for plants that are fragrant on the air, fragrant when touched or crushed, and edible, such as some of our herbs. We focus on many highly fragrant plants, such as peonies, a plant that is familiar to most gardeners. Look how brilliant these are, and they of course come back every year for decades. We have a little dwarf iris, the plum tart iris. It has a wonderful spicy fragrance. Also at Brookside Gardens, you'll notice that most of our plants are labeled, or at least we strive to get them mostly labeled. It's an ongoing task. One of our missions, as you've heard already, is education about plants in the out of doors, and one of the simplest and most direct ways we can do that is to have labels on our plants. Another main feature garden at Brookside Gardens is our azalea garden. This comprises almost a third of our planted area, and it has several hundred different cultivars of azaleas, many of which are not on the market. Most of our azaleas peak out around Mother's Day, but we do have some later blooming types that come on as we approach Memorial Day. Also within the azalea garden are many different types of companion plants such as hostas, ferns, rare witch hazels, and small flowering trees. This magnolia, for example, really is the essence of what we're trying to do with our plant collections here at Brookside Gardens. We go beyond the ordinary, which are the azaleas or the familiar, and then try to do companion plantings that excite, stimulate, and educate our visitors. This magnolia is a perfect example where you walk down the road and you just want to know, where did they get that? What is it? I've never seen it before.
Very nice.
We're in another very popular garden here at Brookside Gardens, the perennial garden. And this is a garden that starts out in mid-spring, which is where we are now, and just gets better and better and better all the way through fall. And there's a wide succession of perennial, that is to say non-woody garden plants that come back year after year. We do not plant any annuals in here. What's in here is meant to be a complex tapestry of flowers that does change throughout the growing season. Like many of Brookside's formal gardens, this is also a room, a very self-contained space, which was very deliberately done by the original landscape architect Hans Hanses in the late 60s. It features these garden beds, as you're seeing, but also a very lively water feature, which we find is very, very attractive to our visitors because we know and have proven the old adage that, like color, sound is very, very attractive in a garden space. We have over 17,000 living plants here on the grounds with over 5,000 different types. We also have on the grounds 3 Montgomery County champion trees that are recognized as being the largest so far known in the county. So you can see that we're here in spring, in the middle of the height of the color of the garden, and that's a popular time to visit, but there is something in bloom at Brookside Gardens every day of the year. Each time you come, it's going to be a new experience, from spring bulbs all the way through winter blooming flowers indoors under glass. So please come and see us in our ever-changing landscapes.
Most of the plants and flowers begin at one of the garden's greenhouses. Here's grower Bert Zeidler to explain the operation.
This is called the Fritz Greenhouse, and this facility is where we grow most of the plants that are displayed in the gardens. mostly annuals and some perennials, and also we have some woody plants that we grow throughout the facility. But most of the plants are basically designed to go down into the gardens by request. The different gardeners actually request plants for us, and we plan for a year in advance to know what we're going to grow, how much, and where they're going to be going to go a final planting area. 3 growers that are steady all year round. Then we have our greenhouse manager who also manage the overall process. And then we have 2 or 3 volunteers that also come every couple of weeks. That's the way it works. And then right now you are in the middle of, I guess, the growing season for all the real full. This is ready to go for May plantings and June plantings. And we're really high gear right now to get them ready.
Each year, special events dot the calendar at Brookside. In the winter, the grounds become a garden of lights. County Cable Montgomery reporter Susan Kennedy checked it out for us.
This light extravaganza is more than a half a mile long and contains close to 1 million colorful lights. It takes the folks here at Brookside Gardens many weeks to put this exhibit together for families to enjoy. When do you start setting all this up?
Starting in September, we start wrapping trees, checking the forms, make sure they work correctly, put them into the garden, and starting in November, right around Thanksgiving, the show starts. And then we run it through the beginning of January.
For you personally, is this kind of neat to see all these families come out?
I enjoy it. I know they're having a good time.
Beautiful. Everything's so beautiful.
I'm really impressed. I never really thought how much time it might take to do something like this.
They're gorgeous. They're just absolutely beautiful.
I've never been here at night, and I can't believe it. I've seen them doing all the work here, but I can't believe they did it to this degree.
Just all the lights and how much effort they put into this place.
Cool.
How old are you, Lewis?
4.
4. And what is your favorite part of what you're seeing here tonight?
I like the clouds, but they just thunder on me.
They thundered on you, didn't they? And what is your name, young lady?
My name is Susan.
That's my name! I can't believe it! And what do you like the best about what you're seeing here tonight?
I like the sunflowers and the rainbow and the lights. The dragonflies over there.
What made them cool?
They were flapping their wings.
Yeah.
Lights are like moving around.
I had just heard a lot of great things about it, and so we wanted to check it out for ourselves.
Look at that.
Not that the girls are old enough to experience and understand and actually appreciate it.
I like that one.
Do you like that big monster right there?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of all this? Is this so pretty?
Yeah.
Part of the Garden of Lights includes the Railway Garden exhibit, located in the conservatories. From May through September, the Wings of Fancy exhibit welcomes thousands of exotic butterflies. On any given day, visitors will see between 600 and 800 butterflies flying freely inside the conservatory and learn about the butterfly life cycle. Exhibit manager Cheryl Beagle takes us behind the scenes.
Brookside Gardens gets butterflies from all around the world, and we started getting imported species. We had to enclose a section of this little office. So our receiving room here is built for us to receive our packages of pupa and hang them just in this screened-in room. So there's a protective blockade so that butterflies don't fly out into the Maryland habitat. So let's go on in. Let me unlock the door, and only authorized staff can come in. So I'm going to go on in and get started on unpacking a package of butterflies that I just got today from Florida. So you can see they come in this box wrapped, and this is in fact just toilet paper, the softest materials that the guys down in Florida could find. They roll them up, and then we just gently unroll them and see what comes out. They had a lot of toilet paper to try to cushion them because an airplane ride up from South Florida leaves a lot of opportunities for damage. And these are buckeye pupa. Buckeyes, the caterpillar makes that pupa case, and these are pretty camouflaged. If this was out in the native habitat, the predators might not notice these barky little pupa cases. So I've been using the term pupa a lot right here in my receiving room, and that's because that's the butterfly life cycle stage that I'm working with right now. So you guys probably remember this, but these little chrysalises, these pupa, this is the caterpillar of the Atala butterfly finished feeding, stored enough energy, and then it went off and metamorphosis began when it formed this next life stage, the pupa. Oh, I've just opened up the beautiful monarch chrysalises. I'm coming to those in my package. Yeah, so you can see these are some of the showiest North American chrysalises that we get. So the gold shininess there is thought to startle the predator, and they may run away instead of eating this wonderful little source of protein, this little meaty morsel. So each time I get a delivery, I label the board and I put a picture there so our visitors will be able to know what kind of butterfly is going to emerge from the chrysalises in that row. So I wanted to point out real quickly, each caterpillar spins a little tab of silk, and then the caterpillar sticks its tail, attaches itself from the tail end right into that silk. So this silk was spun by the caterpillar when he was ready to pupate, and now I'm going to use that silk to pin just through. I would never want to pierce the pupa case, that would damage it. So I'm pinning right through the silk that the caterpillar made there, just for me to transfer it onto the boards. You can see how we've hung the chrysalises on these boards. It really mimics the way a caterpillar leaves its host plant and then anchors in the wild. So the pupa are pinned here to hang down just like a chrysalis generally does in the wild. And then when metamorphosis is complete, you can see I had an owl butterfly emerge today. There's a swallowtail, and they're pretty active. It's time for us to get our transport cage out, and I will just move these imported species into the cage when I ensure that they're healthy and ready to fly. Then I will carry them into the flight house and release them into the butterfly house. There's one in there, and let's get this little green-winged butterfly to jump in. This nice little screen transport cage, and then ready to fly out. Let's see. Often we have to chase them in there, and then we come out here and they sit. Sometimes I can get them on a brush. Let's see, yeah, it's nice and still. What a beautiful, beautiful butterfly.
Volunteers are an essential part of Brookside Gardens. There is every kind of opportunity.
Hi, my name is Jared Ashling, and I'm the volunteer coordinator here at Brookside Gardens. We have a very large volunteer program. We have over 500 volunteers here, and we see another 300 or 400 that come through with corporate groups or social groups, other organizations that volunteer for one-day events. Volunteers help out with really all capacities of the garden.
Hi, I'm Jim Doremus. I'm a horticulturist at Brookside Gardens. In the 5 gardens that I manage, we have 2 paid staff, myself and a seasonal gardener, but I also employ 14 volunteers. Typically 1 morning a week they'll come and spend some time here in the garden, a few hours, and they make all the difference in the world. We accomplish so much more using them. I can't imagine how we could even manage this garden without them.
Why did I pick Brookside? Because I love the gardens. I like the flowers and so forth, and it's a wonderful place to work. Okay, I'm removing pansies that were planted last fall, and we're going to get ready to put spring and summer type plants in their place. One of the best things about it is we can ask Jim, questions we have about our own gardens.
There's a little maggot in there. It causes a new growth to curl over. What you need to do now is spray with a systemic insecticide. Safari is one of the safer ones.
Safari, okay. Try to remove most of the dirt. It's really a lot of fun. So.
We have quite a few volunteers that work at our information desk. They work in our library. They work with our children's program. We also have volunteers for some of our seasonal exhibits, including our Wings of Fancy exhibit that runs May through September, and our Garden of Lights exhibit that runs during the holiday season.
See the construction of that today, and you want to come back and
well, we get a lot of corporate volunteer groups that come out for days of service or connect days or care days where the entire corporation will allow their staff to volunteer at site.
Yeah, we're going to take a little walk over here now. So if you basically grab it by the base of it and pull it up, the whole root system should come out.
And it's a great way for us to utilize a large group of people and tackle some bigger projects that we wouldn't normally have the numbers for. And it's also really good PR for these corporate groups. They get to get involved in the community, show that they care and concern about their community.
This is poison ivy. Yeah.
It is.
So 3 leaves, let it be. Grass goes up into the woods.
And it's also just a good perk for their staff to get out of the office, to get outside, and to get to know their neighbors and their community a little better. We have a lot of students who apply and are looking for volunteer opportunities. Student service learning hours are required for all of our county schools, and so there are a lot of opportunities that we've designed to meet the needs of those students looking for their SSL hours.
And there is one special volunteer who keeps the gardens running.
This is Amy. She's our border collie. We purchased her a couple years ago, and what she's done is she herds our geese. So every morning we get in early. We herd the geese out of the gardens by basically coming down. I give her a command. She chases after the geese, gets them in the water, and then if I need to, I'll give her another command to go in the water, swim around, and make them fly away. We don't do anything to hurt the geese, and what they do is they just fly to another park. So we're really trying to cut down the population, and we have from about 200 geese when we first got her to 5 or 6 families right now. The geese do a lot of damage. They have a lot of nutrient damage from going to the bathroom. We have a lot of weddings here. They bother the public, especially when they're nesting this time of year, kind of going after the moms with the small children. So we don't want the geese here. It's a service working dog, so we don't allow pets in the garden. If you see her, she's okay, she's working here, but please don't bring your pets here. Only working dogs are allowed in the gardens.
How's it smell?
It smells like a type of candy. Hey, look, there's another one. Go.
Kids are a big focus at Brookside, from tours, to events, to classes, to specially themed areas of the gardens. Here's Jerry Hall to tell us about the new children's garden.
I'm Jerry Hall, and I am a gardener and the designer of the children's garden here at Brookside Gardens. We are redesigning the children's garden every 3 or 4 years. The design changes, and we have a new theme, and the theme this year is schools outside. So as you can see behind me, we have a little red schoolhouse, and we have divided the garden into 6 sections. Now, I only design the garden, but I don't get the ideas for what the educational programs are going to be. Lynn Richard designs the programs, and she wanted to be able to have 6 classrooms and display the primary and secondary colors, and to represent 26 letters of the alphabet with plants. So wow, what a challenge. That's been like putting a puzzle together. It's been really fun. We'll be planting these velvet plants around in a circle to match the plan here, and the purple peppers, and we will need to stand on the boards because we don't want to compact the soil. Brookside grows all of these plants up in the greenhouse. So we have 6 classrooms. The first one is math, the second is science, then we have lunch and recess here, which is the biggest area. Of course, kids like that. We have this section here, which is just being planted, which will be a little reading room with a little lending library where you can bring a book and take a book. And the next section is going to have a little stage in the back. You can see it, the beginnings of that little stage. And then the final section is for music. And our construction guys here at the park are making some organic drums that can be played outside, and so I think they're going to make some bamboo shakers that make a sort of a river rocking sound as they roll, so that's going to be interesting. The primary and secondary colors are in the gardens also. So the first garden we planted is green, the next one is blue, then we have purple and red and orange and yellow. So that's your primary and secondary colors.
Check out the finished garden. Children are not the only students at Brookside. There are also many classes, workshops, lectures, and field trips designed for adults of all ages. So what does the future hold for Brookside Gardens? Stephanie Oberle gives us a peek.
Well, Brookside Gardens has some really exciting projects coming up that will speak to some really needed renovations that we have for the gardens. For example, the Goody Garden, which are the large ponds with the Japanese-style tea house, are really in need of some renovations. So we're going to be emptying the ponds of water, rescuing all the fish and frogs and turtles, moving them to another location, dredging the ponds so they'll have deeper water to improve water quality. We're going to be fixing the banks, which are eroded, and then we're going to also be fixing the dams so they hold water better. So that will improve the water quality for the plants and fish and animals that are in those ponds. So that's a big project that's happening this summer, but it'll be a little muddy, but at the end it will be really great. Next summer we're going to be working on a project to renovate and enlarge the parking lot, our main parking lot at the Visitor Center, and that will improve pedestrian comfort and safety as they come into the garden. It'll increase the size of the parking lot, and what we're really excited about is all of the sustainable building practices that are going to be implemented. We're going to be using permeable paving. We're going to be using lots of different kinds of stormwater management techniques with plants providing the stormwater management and cleaning. We're going to be recycling water. And my favorite thing, which is kind of quirky, is hopefully we're going to be installing a composting toilet, which is really cool. Some may be a little concerned about that, but I think it's cool. So we're really going to be making a better experience for our visitors who come both in cars and on foot, and they'll really feel like they've entered a special place from the moment they set foot on our property. This whole new experience will be open for them. So that's going to be happening next summer. Again, it's going to be a little bit of growing pains. We're going to ask for people's patience while we're under construction, but it's going to be a fabulous feature for many years to come once it's completed.
To find out more about Brookside Gardens, go to brooksidegardens.org. Online you can find information on programs, lectures, classes, exhibits, events, tours, and volunteering, as well as a plant database and garden maps. or stop by. Brookside Gardens is open every day of the year, sunrise to sunset.